Hello and welcome to our 9th session wherein we are going to discuss about the camera settings in Unreal Engine 5.6. But before we step into that, we have to understand some basic terminologies that we use in lenses. These terminologies are, one is the focal length, the second is the aperture, and the next is what we call as the lens power. Now, what is this lens power? So, to give you an example, you take a centimeter measuring scale and between 0 and 1 centimeter, you have 10 divisions representing each division 1 millimeter. Now, hold that in front of your eye at a distance of around 6 inches and you are able to count 10 lines in between 0 and 1 centimeter. Those 10 lines, if you can count it correctly from a distance of around 6 inches, then it means that your eye is normal. If I move it beyond 6 inches, say if I keep it at 1 feet, then it will be very difficult for you to count those 10 millimeter lines. Now, similarly, if you have a lens with a power of 1, see this lens power is measured with a unit called as diopter. In case of lenses, 1 diopter means the power of that lens is equal to the power of eye. If you can count the 10 lines between 0 and 1 centimeter clearly from a maximum distance of about 6 inches, then if you use a lens power with 1, the image formed by that lens, even in the image you can count it clearly. If you want to record or if you want to count those 10 lines in the image with a lens power 2, 2 means it has half the eye power, then in a normal eye, you can count those 10 lines easily from a distance of 6 inches. Now, in a camera with lens power 2, to get the same quality or to read it, I have to shoot it from a distance of 3 inches. In case of television, in olden days, when the television starts, you used to see a test screen. And how this test screen was going to appear was, see, you might have seen a screen like this. Before the transmission starts, in olden days, in Doordarshan, we used to get this screen. And why they used to put this screen is to adjust our TV brightness and contrast clearly. You have the lines here. Initially, these 1, 2, 3, 4 lines are away. But as it moves from left to right, the distance between the lines gradually decreases, and in your television, if you can differentiate the line till here, it means that your television setting is perfect. And you should also be able to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the 6 gradient in your image very clearly. See, now if the brightness of the image increases, then you can see that now you are not able to differentiate these 4. You are seeing only 3 spectrum here when the image is too bright. And also you can see that the counting of the lines will be difficult. And similarly, if the brightness is very less, you can see that you cannot identify these factors here. If I increase the saturation of the color, you can see the different lines you see here will get merged. See, if I increase the saturation, you can now see the patches here. This means that the image is oversaturated, and if it is undersaturated, you will see a white line like this here. So, I have to set this saturation correctly. Now, even in camera, to test the camera resolution or the lens power, we use the same signal and we are going to make adjustments in camera like black balance and white balance. Means in the camera, a white signal should be recorded pure white and a black signal should be recorded pure black. And you can see here, this black is not appearing black, it is appearing to you as gray. This means that the black setting, black balance is wrong. So, now I have to slightly make it black, so that this is perfectly black. If I actually zoom and see only this image, then I can count it more easily. So, because the area of image, how much it is covered, this we call it as the field of view. Here the field of view is more, but when I zoom it, the field of view is going to decrease. So, here the lens power 1 means it is exactly equal to the power of my eye. When the lens power is 1, you can set the diameter of the lens equivalent to an aperture of 1, which means that if you have 100 watts light on the object, the amount of light reaching the image will be 100 watts. So, in a lens with power 1, it means that you will have 0 light loss when you form the image of the object on the screen. Normally, the most powerful lens is 1.2, and in a 1.2 lens, if you have 100 watt lights, you will lose 10% light and 90 watt light is going to reach the image. And this we are going to control it by controlling the diameter of the lens. Now, before we come to the diameter, I want to explain now one term, and I want to step into Unreal Engine. The term that I want to explain to you now is, it is called as the focal length. The focal length is the distance between the center of the lens and the image. How does it affect the images? As the focal length decreases, the range of image that you are going to see is going to be more. To give you an example, we as humans has a field of view of almost 160 degrees. Means I can see the angle of view of my eye is almost 180 degrees. I can view from left hand end of mine to the right hand end of mine, and this angle is 160 degrees. For example, if you take animal fish has a view of 270 degrees. If we had got the fish eye, we could have seen our ears. As the focal length is going to increase, this field of view is going to decrease. So, and one thing here is, when you have a lens with maximum field of view, we call it as the wide angle lens, and wide angle lens will normally have lesser focal length. And whereas if the field of view is reduced, say for example, now you are seeing me, my entire body, you are seeing me till this waist level, and if the field of view is decreased, now what happens is, you are going to see only this area of my screen, and if I zoom further, you can only see my lips. That is, you are seeing only the lips because the camera field of view, as it decreases, the image, it appears to be enlarged because we are seeing a lesser view, and the images which has this large focal length, we call it as the telephoto lens or telescopic lens. Normally here we call a lens as a normal lens. A normal lens is a lens whose focal length is equal to the diagonal distance of your sensor. In iPhone, the sensor that we are using has a diameter of is approximately around 7 mm. So, for an iPhone, a 7 mm lens is a normal lens, and all normal lenses will have a field of view of 45 degrees. So, normal lenses will have 45 degree view, and as this view is increased, the angle of view is increased. As the focal length is decreased, for an iPhone, 3 mm is a wide angle lens, 15 mm is a tele lens, and 7 mm is a normal lens. In case of a 35 mm digital SLR camera with full frame sensor, the screen sensor size is 50 millimeters. So, for a 35 mm camera, 50 millimeter is the normal lens, 28 millimeter will be a wide angle lens, and any focal length above 50 like 100 mm, 200 mm, those we call it as the telelens. Now, let us understand or explore this effect of focal length in Unreal Engine. Now, for this session there are some resources which needs to be downloaded. If you come into your video description or in the course description, if you scroll down here in the description, click on more and you can see a link provided here, Patreon link. Just click on this link and this link is going to open the Patreon page. Just scroll down and in this first download this file called as camera settings.zip. Click on this and wait for the download to complete. So, once this is downloaded, in this case we are now going to make use of some metahuman realistic character. In our previous session, we took the character from Vixamo and appeared like a mannequin or a 3D model. It was not realistic. So, to get the realistic model with this project, I will introduce you to metahuman characters. So, for that purpose, come into this virtual filmmaking page and in the camera settings.zip, below that there is another one, metahumans.zip. Click on this and wait for this file to download. It is around 4.65 GB. So, this file has been downloaded. Now, I am going to select both these files, with shift selected select both. I am going to cut it from here and in the PC in D in Unreal project or in the place where you have stored all your Unreal project, I will open this folder, right click and paste it. So, it is now moved to this folder. First I will select the camera settings.zip, right click and click on extract all and click the extract button. Okay, now once the extraction is complete, you have this camera settings project and you have one camera settings U project file also. And I will come back to this Unreal project and now I will select this metahuman.zip, right click and choose extract all and extract it. Once this is extracted, I will come back into this Unreal project folder and you have this metahumans extracted file. I will right click and cut it and now open camera settings. You have a folder called content. Double click to open it and inside that you have one int_vc folder. Double click to open it and inside this right click and paste this metahumans folder. Remember, in your project directory, inside the camera settings project, inside content, inside this folder int_vc, I have to paste my metahumans folder. Our extraction is done and now I will come back here and I will click on Epic Games Launcher to launch it. And in Unreal Engine, if I come into library, now you can see this camera settings project available. It is set to version 5.6. So, now double click this to open it in Unreal Engine. Okay. So, now you have this message log. I will click clear and I will just close this and you are now by default opened with this module_2 level. Now, if you come into your content int_vc folder, you have maps here. If I double click it, there are two folders here. One is demo and another is main. So, if I double click on the demos, you have 3 demo sequences. I will come back to maps and in the main, this is the module_2 sequence which is now open. Coming back to my outliner, I will just move in here on this gear wheel and I will choose collapse all, and when I open this module you have camera settings and I open this and in the camera setting now I am going to create a folder and I am going to call this as cameras. See, both our characters are standing. However, the character is already rigged for a sitting position and to enable it we have to add the character to a sequence. However, this sequence is already ready for you. So, if you have opened this module_2, if you come to this clapboard icon, if you open here, this level has a sequence called module underscore 2. So, if I click on this sequence, you can now see both of them are sitting. Basically, now what is happening is these lights and all these icons are disturbing our view. You can see here, if I right click and tilt up, you can see so many icons appearing here. To hide all these icons, either I can come into perspective, and you have one option here called as game view, and the keyboard shortcut for it is G. So, I can come into this viewport and just press G, and you can see all these icons are now hidden. So, I will come back here and I will collapse all, open this module camera setting, and I will come into the camera, and now let us start adding the camera. So, for that I will come into this add actor, and I will come into cinematic, and I am going to add the Cine Camera Actor. So, when I click on Cine Camera Actor, you can now see this Cine Camera Actor is added here. Now, I am going to adjust this actor so that it is right now focused to any one character here. So, for that I will come here into the top view, and I am going to select this and press F to zoom to that character, and I will press G again to see all the camera and other icons. See, if I press G, the camera will not be visible. To make it visible again, I have to press G again to come out of the game view, and now I can see the camera. The camera is placed here, and now I can just move the camera like this and adjust it. See the preview, you can see that, and or I can just press E and come into the rotate mode, and I can rotate this, and I can press W and I can now move it forward like this and bring it near like this. And if this composition becomes difficult, the easiest way is I will come back here to perspective view, and in this now I am going to select my Cine Camera Actor, and then I am going to left click, zoom out, and I am just going to adjust it like this. So, now I come here, press A and slightly move it to the right. I will turn, press W, and I am going to zoom to this person. So, I will middle mouse click and pan. I will zoom like this, and I am going to adjust this camera to this person. Left mouse click, press A. I will roll the mouse down to decrease the camera speed. See, now the camera speed is set to 0.1, and now I will slowly move it, and I am going to turn. I will press W and move forward, and I will set the position like this. So, this is the view I am going to have now. Again, these icons are disturbing me. I will press G on the keyboard and I will hide it. This camera, Cine Camera Actor, I will just widen it, and I am going to press F2, and I am going to call this as Cine ARRI Flex. So, this is an ARRI Flex camera. If it is an ARRI Flex camera, I have to come into the details here, and in the details I will come here in the current camera setting, film back, and I am going to change the width and height. I will open my vfxcamdb.com website, come into ARRI Alexa. This we did it in the last class, and I am going to now copy this 54.12 mm and paste it as width, and height will be 25.58 mm. Now the view has increased because my sensor size is very big. This is not focus. So, I will just scroll down, and I will come down here in the lens setting, and you have below the lens setting focus setting. Coming to focus setting, I will currently select this eyedropper, and I will click on the face to focus it. Now, as of now it is getting overexposed. We are going to come into the exposure control in the next session, but as of now I have a ARRI Flex camera, and I am going to set the ARRI Flex camera. I will come into the lens setting, and I am going to set this to a 50 mm prime f1.8 lens. Now, actually for an ARRI Flex camera, the normal focal length is 60 mm. How can we know it? It is the diagonal distance of my screen. So, how can I calculate the diagonal distance? I know the width and height. So, to do this calculation, I will come to a site called Omni Calculator, and here I am going to search for diagonal to rectangle. See, here you have a diagonal of a rectangle calculator. I will select this. In the length, I am going to set 54.11 and width is 25.58, and if I scroll down, you can see that its dimension is 59.85, means 60 mm is the normal lens for it. So, I will come back to Unreal, and here I am going to come down, and in the lens, instead of setting minimum and maximum to 50 mm, I am going to change this to 60 mm. See, I have changed it to 60 mm. This is a normal lens, and now we are having a 46-degree view. I am going to select this Cine ARRI Flex camera, and then now I am going to press Ctrl plus D to duplicate it. I got one more camera at the same position. Now I am going to press F2 and I am going to call this as Cine Blackmagic. So, I will call this as the Blackmagic camera, and I will come back, I will come into Blackmagic camera, and this dimension is, see, 25.34. I will come to Unreal and I will set the screen width to 25.34 and the height is 14.25. Okay. So, now I will come here and instead of Cine ARRI Flex, I am going to select Cine Magic, and now immediately you can see that my view has zoomed in. Why it has zoomed in? Because for this camera 60 mm is not a normal lens, 60 mm is a telephoto lens. What is the normal lens of this Blackmagic camera? To calculate it, again I will come into this site Omni Calculator, and here I will set the width 25.34 and the height 14.25. So, now when I set this and if I scroll down, now the diagonal distance is around 29 mm, which can be approximately 30 mm. So, now I will come back to Unreal, and if I scroll down in the lens setting now, I will set the minimum focal length to 30 mm and maximum focal length to 30 mm. So, now you can observe that this is the view of 46 degree. So, now for a Blackmagic camera, 30 mm is the normal lens. For the ARRI Flex camera, 60 mm is the normal lens, and now I am going to select this camera, press Ctrl D again, I will press F2 and I am going to call this camera now as Cine iPhone. So, this is now an iPhone camera. If you come to iPhone camera, the width of iPhone camera sensor is just 9.8 mm and the height is 7.3 mm. Now, if I come here and select the iPhone camera, now you can see that the iPhone camera has zoomed in completely, and for an iPhone camera 30 mm lens becomes a telephoto lens. So, to calculate the normal lens for iPhone camera, in the Omni Calculator now I will enter the width is 9.8 and height is 7.3, and now if you see diagonal distance, it is around 12 mm or 13 mm. So, for an iPhone camera the normal lens will be 13 mm. So, and here I have to again reset the focus. I will just move in down and I will select this eyedropper and click on the face to focus it, or I will manually move it and adjust the focus. See, now this is sharp, the ink dropper is not picking up correctly. So, now the image is sharp. Similarly, I will come to Cine Blackmagic. So, I will select the Cine Blackmagic camera, and even in this case I am going to manually adjust the focus. See, now the focus is correct. I can enable this draw debug focus and I can move and see that this debug focus is just over the nose like this. So, then it is focus. Okay. and similarly now I will come to the ARRI Flex camera, select Cine ARRI Flex, and even in this case I will move and adjust the focus. See, I will again enable this and I will move and adjust this focus. See, it is correctly adjusted. I will switch it off. Okay. So, now I will come to Cine Magic also, I will switch it off. So, now I have focused all the 3 cameras. So, to see the cameras next to each other, what I am going to do is, I will come into window and I am going to choose viewport and I will add one more viewport. The first viewport has ARRI Flex camera. The second viewport I am going to come here and select the Blackmagic camera, and I am going to add window viewports, one more viewport, and in this viewport I will slightly move it up like this, and I am going to set the view here to my iPhone camera. So, I will select even this view and press G to hide all the other items. Even here I will click and press G to hide it. Say for example, here with all the 3 open, I will come back here, collapse all, I will open this, come into camera settings, camera, and in camera, say for example, I select the ARRI Flex camera and the current focal length is set to 60 mm. If I make this focal length around 200 mm, see here this becomes a telephoto lens. So, I will come here and I will click here and slightly right click and move up to compose the camera correctly. Now, similarly, I will come back here. Every time I have to come here, select the camera. Here in the camera, now I am going to select the ARRI Flex camera, and instead of 200 mm, if I set this to around say 20 mm, you can see such a wide angle view we are getting. So, this is a wide angle camera. If I set this to 60 mm, this is normal camera and 200 mm is tele camera. Similarly, even in Blackmagic, normal is 30 mm, and if I set it to around 75 mm, both of this, you can now see that the camera is zoomed. Even here I will right click and slightly tilt it up. So, this is tele, and even in this case, if I make this 10 mm, see this becomes a wide angle lens. And similarly, even in case of iPhone, 13 mm, see both I have to set here 13 mm. Okay. So, I had set only one as 13 mm. So, now I have set both as minimum and maximum to 13 mm, and you can see this is the normal view. And now, if I set this to even 30 mm, this becomes a telephoto lens. I will right click and slightly adjust the camera so that I am seeing his face. Okay. And here, if I set the focal length to 4 mm, you can now see this is a wide angle view. Okay. So, for an iPhone 4 mm, for a Blackmagic 10 mm, and for an ARRI Flex 28 mm gives you the same wide angle view, or 20 mm gives you the same wide angle view. Or in case of ARRI Flex, if I set it to 200, and in case of Blackmagic, I am going to set this to around 75, and in case of iPhone, I will set it to just 30, but 30 mm is a wide angle lens for ARRI Flex. So, here you have to understand the basic that as the focal length increases, your field of view is going to change, and this field of view is directly related to your sensor size. Now, come here to File and choose Save All to save all the levels. We conclude our day 3 hour 1 session, where we have discussed about the focal length and the sensor size, and in our day 3 hour 2 session, we are going to discuss about the next topic, which is the aperture and the most important one, depth of field.